Beneath the bustling streets and towering spires of Waterdeep, a city of a million secrets, lies the legacy of a woman who is both a living legend and a pillar of the North. She is an archmage of unmatched power, a survivor of centuries, and the wise leader who guides the City of Splendors. She is Laeral Silverhand. Born Amanue Silverhand, Laeral is one of the fabled Seven Sisters. Blessed as a chosen of Mystra, she wields incredible arcane power and bears the divine responsibility that comes with her lineage. Over the centuries, Laeral has journeyed across Faerûn, facing dragons, demons, and mortal threats alike, leaving her mark on history wherever she goes. Laeral's story is intertwined with some of the most legendary figures of the realms. She once ruled as the Witch Queen of the Kingdom of Stornantor in the north, adventured with the group known as the Nine, and later became the trusted partner of Kelvin Blackstaff Arunson. Her deep bond with her sisters and her devotion to Mystra have shaped her path, blending fate, magic, and duty. Eventually, Laeral rose to the position of Open Lord of Waterdeep, bringing wisdom, stability, and compassion to one of Faerûn's greatest cities. Her legacy is not just in her power, but in her enduring guidance, her alliances with heroes and gods, and her unwavering commitment to the safety of the realms. In this video, we'll explore the life and lore of Laeral Silverhand, her origins, her magical mastery, her role among the Seven Sisters, and her enduring impact on the City of Splendors itself. So ready your spellbooks and join us as we uncover the story of the legendary Laeral Silverhand. To understand Laeral Silverhand, we must first look into her origins, long before the current age of heroes. She was born as one of the legendary Seven Sisters, mortals personally chosen by the goddess of magic Mystra. From the very moment of her birth, Laeral carried a deep, innate connection to the weave, the invisible threads of magic that flow through all existence. This bond marked her as extraordinary, setting her apart from ordinary mortals from the very beginning. Being a chosen of Mystra granted her not only immense magical power, but also a lifespan far beyond that of typical humans. It is said that the chosen are touched by the goddess herself, tasked with preserving the weave and maintaining the delicate balance of magic in the world. Laeral, like her sisters, inherited this sacred responsibility. Even as a child, she demonstrated an unusual sensitivity to magical energies, able to detect disturbances in the weave and manipulate spells with precision and insight that few could match. While the specifics of her early life remain largely undocumented, her formative years were clearly a preparation for the remarkable path she would follow. Laeral would grow into one of the most prominent magical figures in Faerûn, walking along her six sisters, each chosen by Mystra for her own unique gifts. The Seven Sisters, Illustrial Silverhand, who would become the High Lady of Silvery Moon, Dove Falconhand, a devoted harper and courageous warrior, Storm Silverhand, Bard, adventurer, and agent of change, Silune, the High Mage of Shadowdale, Quelu, Veladorn of Cormanthor, and Symbol, the formidable Witch Queen of Algorand. And Laeral herself were each individually powerful, yet their connection to one another and to Mystra amplified their influence. Though not as a formal organization really, they often acted in concert to confront magical threats, oppose agents of evil, and protect the fragile balance of the weave. Laeral's own role within this group was defined by her discipline, intelligence, and careful mastery of magic. She learned from her sisters, forging bonds that would endure through centuries. Her life with the Seven Sisters was a testament to the responsibilities of the chosen, the careful use of power, the weight of divine duty, and the sacrifices necessary to safeguard the realms. Ultimately, Laeral's story would lead her from the travels and adventures of her youth to a new kind of responsibility. She would rise to prominence in Waterdeep, one of Faerûn's greatest cities, where her wisdom, experience, and magical talent would shape the fate of countless citizens and continue the legacy of the Seven Sisters in protecting both magic and the world itself. While Laeral's individual power was undeniable, her true legend was forged in the company of her six sisters in what became one of the most storied circles
of magical women in the realms, the Seven Sisters. The Seven Sisters are Mystra's daughters, fathered by the ranger Laeral Silverhand. 6 were born to his wife, Sundering, while Mystra dwelt within her. The seventh, Kalue, was unique. When Lue was gravely wounded during her final pregnancy, Mystra refused to let the unborn child perish. With the consent of the goddess Elistre, Mystra transferred the child into the womb of a drow adventuress, Ilraza Tara Veladorn. Thus Kalue was born among the drow, raised within their world, and became not only one of Mystra's chosen, but also a priestess of Elistre, bridging 2 divine callings. Each sister was formidable in their own right, yet their combined influence was unmatched. Across the centuries, they crossed purposes with powers and cabals whose schemes endangered lands and magic alike, though they seldom fought as a single unit. Their exploits ranged from open clashes that shook kingdoms to quiet interventions that turned history's current by a single spell or whispered word. However told, the sisters stand as enduring agents of Mystra's will in Faerûn. Within this lineage, Laeral Silverhand is remembered for discipline and strategy, where the symbol wielded raw and tamed might and Illustrial excelled in elegant statecraft. Laeril's bond with Storm Silverhand was particularly strong, raised together under Elminster's care. The legacy of the Seven Sisters endures, and Laeral herself carried those lessons into her greatest civic role, Open Lord of Waterdeep, where Mystra tasked her to help stabilize the North after the sundering of old alliances.
For all her wisdom and mastery of magic, Laeral Silverhand's life was definitely not without peril. Among the many trials she faced, one stands out as a testament to both her vulnerability and her resilience: the encounter with the Crown of Horns. The Crown of Horns, an artifact of ancient Netherese origin, was created with the dark influence of Merkel, the god of death. Its power was corrupting, designed to dominate the wearer's will and bend their abilities to serve its malevolent purpose. Few could resist its seductive, destructive energy, but Laeral, even as a chosen of Mystra, would soon face this ultimate challenge. In the year of the Wandering Maiden, Laeral discovered the crown during an adventure with her trusted companions. Upon placing it upon her head, Laeril's magical essence clashed violently with the crown's necrotic influence. Her mind was overwhelmed, and she succumbed to its control. For a time, Laeral became the Witch Queen of the North, a shadow of her true self. Under the crown's malevolent sway, she committed acts that she would later regret. Her vibrant spirit overshadowed by dark impulses. The very people who had once admired her now feared the rise of this corrupted mage in the North. Yet, even in darkness, hope endured. Kelvin Blackstaff Arunson, Laeril's partner and a master of the arcane himself, confronted her in the High Forest. After a fierce duel of magic, he sundered the Crown of Horns, breaking its grip on her mind and spirit. Laeral was rescued and brought to Blackstaff Tower, where she was carefully healed, her sanity restored, and her soul cleansed of the crown's lingering corruption. Following this harrowing episode, Laeril's focus shifted. She ceased her previous prolific creation of magical items, dedicating herself more to personal joys. She emerged from this trial stronger, her resilience proven, and her understanding of magical and moral responsibility deepened. This chapter of her life is a testament to Laeril's enduring strength. Even when touched by darkness, she reclaimed her destiny, proving that the will of a chosen of Mystra can withstand even the most corrupting of forces. The Crown of Horns would definitely remain a warning, a shadowed memory of vulnerability, but it would never define her. While Laeril's story is deeply intertwined with her 6 sisters, there is one individual who arguably has an even more profound impact on her life. His name was Kelvin the Blackstaff Arunson, a legendary archmage, Lord Mage of Waterdeep, and one of the most influential members of the Harpers in their later history. Their relationship was one of the most powerful and enduring partnerships in the history of the Forgotten Realms, built on mutual respect, shared power, and a love that spanned centuries. Laeral and Kelvin were a study in contrast, she a wild and intuitive chosen of Mystra, and he a disciplined and calculating master of spellcraft. Yet their magical talents complemented each other perfectly. They weren't just lovers, they were a formidable force, combining Laeral raw, instinctive command of the weave with Kelbin's meticulous and systematic mastery of high magic. Together they defended Waterdeep and the North from some of the greatest threats of their age. Their combined power, an unshakable bulwark against those who sought to plunge the land into chaos. Their love was a quiet legend of the North, a bond that served as the anchor for their shared mission to protect Waterdeep. The two spent countless years together, a period often considered the height of their influence. They were inseparable, their names spoken together in both awe and caution by those who understood their reach. Their partnership was a beacon to all who believed in the cause of good and order. But, even for an immortal chosen, love can bring profound sorrow. The North was shaken by a momentous event. Kelbin Arunson gave his life in a grand ritual to restore a lost elven city, now reborn as Rymanthin, the hidden city of hope, on the High Moor. His sacrifice was the keystone that allowed the magic to succeed, and with it, his mortal life came to an end. He left behind his iconic staff, the Blackstaff, now inhabited by his spirit. It is now to be passed down to his chosen successors as both a weapon and a living legacy. The loss of Kelbin was a deep and lasting wound for Laeral. It was a pivotal moment that forever altered her path. She was a different woman after he was gone, more introspective, more deliberate, yet still fiercely committed to the ideals they had fought together for. In the years that followed, through the chaos of the spell plague and the Sundering, Laeral emerged once more to stand as a leader. Not as Blackstaff, but as Open Lord of Waterdeep, the highest civic authority in the city her late husband had long defended. While Laeral's magic and her love for Kelbin are central to her story, a full understanding of her character requires us to look at her life in the shadows. For centuries, both she and Kelbin were deeply involved with the Harpers, serving as prominent agents and allies of that secretive organization dedicated to protecting the common people from tyranny and corruption. Later in their lives, Kelbin broke from the Harpers to form a splinter group known as the Mystras, with which Laeral was also closely aligned. Within these circles, Laeral was known not just for her immense magical power, but for her sharp mind and her skill in the subtle arts of espionage. Her work for the Harpers and Mystras often meant she was operating in secret, using her charisma, magical knowledge, and vast network of contacts to gather intelligence, manipulate events from a distance, and forge alliances in a way that few others could. She was a master of a different kind of power, the power of information. She and Kelbin maintained an extensive network of spies and informants throughout the North, and their combined influence was a silent force for good that shaped the politics of entire kingdoms, often without anyone outside their circles even knowing it. This experience with the Harpers and Mystras also made her an influential leader within the Lord's Alliance, the powerful coalition of city-states and nations across the Sword Coast that worked together to combat mutual threats. Laeral's reputation for impartiality, her far-reaching network of contacts, and her proven commitment to the good of the realms made her one of the most respected figures within the Alliance. She was a diplomat who could broker peace, the strategist who could foresee a coming war, and the magical powerhouse who could turn the tide of any conflict. This long history of political maneuvering, diplomacy, and quiet statecraft is what truly prepared her for her ultimate destiny. Before she ever became Open Lord of Waterdeep, she was already a major power in the North. She had spent decades, if not centuries, mastering the art of governance from the shadows. When the time came for her to step into the light and take command of the City of Splendors, she was not a novice. She was among the most qualified and experienced leaders in all of Faerûn. The history of the Forgotten Realms is shaped as much by magic as by kings and heroes. One of the most cataclysmic events in the history was the Spell Plague, which erupted following the assassination of the goddess Mystra, goddess of magic. The very fabric of the weave, the source of all arcane power, was violently disrupted, and its effects rippled across Faerûn. For the chosen of Mystra, being intrinsically bound to the weave, the spell plague was nothing short of a trial by fire. Their power became unreliable, and many were diminished, scattered, or slain. Magical currents twisted and surged where they once flowed smoothly. Laeral Silverhand, like her surviving sisters, endured this turbulent new reality, though she largely withdrew from public life during these years. Suddenly, the effortless command of magic she had relied on for centuries was indeed gone. Every spell required renewed concentration. Every weave of energy demanded careful guidance. The familiar harmony of the weave was replaced by unpredictability and volatility. It was a time of constant vigilance and adaptation. For Laeral, it was not only a challenge of skill, but of patience, strategy, and inner strength. During the era of the spell plague, and the years that followed, the chosen who remained active, most notably Elminster and several of Laeral's sisters, labored to preserve magical knowledge and stabilize what they could. Laeral, long out of public view after Kelvin's death, later returned as the weave and Mystra were restored. Her disciplined foresight and tactical mind would soon make her a guiding force among the chosen. The death of Mystra left a profound void, one that would only be resolved decades later during the Second Sundering, when Mystra was restored in a new incarnation. Laeral, like all surviving chosen, had to forge a renewed connection to the goddess. This process demanded reflection, humility, and an enduring commitment to the protection of magic and its balance in the realms. It was not instantaneous, but essential for her survival and continued mastery of the arcane. The spell plague was more than a magical crisis. It was a crucible. Laeral emerged from it transformed, tempered by hardship and strengthened in wisdom and resolve. She learned to navigate a weave that no longer bent entirely to her will, to anticipate danger before it struck, and to combine magical expertise with strategic thinking. This period of adaptation honed her abilities not just as a mage, but as a leader, a role she would embrace in the City of Splendors, where the stakes were no longer just magical, but political, civic, and eternal. By weathering the chaos of the spell plague and building resilience through her trials, Laeral Silverhand proved herself not only a master of the arcane, but a living testament to her endurance and responsibility of the chosen. Her transformation during this era set the stage for her future as Open Lord of Waterdeep, a city that would rely on her wisdom, foresight, and strength in ways the Seven Sisters could only have begun to imagine. With the cataclysm of the spell plague fading into memory, a new chapter began in the Forgotten Realms. And for Laeral Silverhand, that chapter unfolded not on a distant battlefield or forgotten ruins, but in the heart of the greatest city of the North, Waterdeep. Before her arrival, Waterdeep was under the leadership of Open Lord Neverwinter, a man of ambition and vision. He brought prosperity to the city, expanded trade, and strengthened Waterdeep's influence along the Sword Coast. Yet, beneath this veneer of success, whispers of corruption and secret dealings festered among the city's influential guilds and the secretive council of the Lords of Waterdeep. Neverwinter's simultaneous rule over Neverwinter and Waterdeep left many questioning his priorities, and rumors of embezzlement and hidden wealth grew impossible to ignore. The tipping point came with the discovery of Neverwinter's secret vault, a massive hoard of gold, over 500,000 dragons, concealed beneath the city. This revelation shattered any remaining trust in his leadership. The Lords of Waterdeep acted decisively. Neverwinter was stripped of his title and exiled from the city, leaving behind a power vacuum of extraordinary magnitude. Waterdeep needed a leader of unquestionable integrity, someone beyond political schemes whose name alone inspired respect and reassurance. So, the choice seemed to be clear. Laeral Silverhand, a figure legendary across the north and the realms, was selected, a former chosen of Mystra, and a survivor of centuries of peril. She was a hero of the era of the Seven Sisters. Her wisdom, magical mastery, and incorruptible character made her uniquely suited to the challenges ahead. She was not a career politician by any means, but she embodied the values of the Lord's wish to see restored: honor, justice, and a measured, thoughtful leadership. Laeral officially assumed the mantle of Open Lord in 1489 DR. Her arrival marked a new era for Waterdeep, where Neverwinter had relied on spectacle and personal ambition. Laeral leadership was pragmatic, deliberate, and steady. She immediately set to work restoring confidence in the city's institutions. Guilds and noble houses, previously fractured by mistrust, began to align under her guidance. She addressed lingering threats left by the spell plague, ensuring that magical and mundane dangers alike were managed with precision and foresight. Laeral's approach was as much symbolic as it was practical. Her presence reassured the citizens of Waterdeep that the city's heart was in capable hands, and her magical prowess signaled that Waterdeep would remain protected from any arcane or external threat. Her long experience as a strategist and tactician, honed during her adventures with the Seven Sisters and the Harpers, became invaluable in balancing diplomacy, law, and security. She rebuilt the credibility of the Open Lord's office, turning it into a beacon of stability and fairness. But her challenges were far from over. Governing Waterdeep required navigating complex politics, balancing the interests of guilds, nobles, and adventurers, and confronting enemies who would exploit any sign of weakness. Every decision she made carried weight, not just for the city itself, but for all of the North and all of Faerûn. Yet Laeral's life of adventure, her trials as a chosen of Mystra, and her centuries of experience had prepared her for this moment. She brought to the role not only power, but wisdom, resilience, and a steady hand capable of guiding the City of Splendors into a future defined by honor and prosperity. Laeral Silverhand had transformed from legendary adventurer and guardian of the weave into the steadfast Open Lord of Waterdeep. Her tenure would forever shape the city's destiny, blending magic, leadership, and an enduring commitment to the people she served. Being the Open Lord of Waterdeep is a monumental task, even for a centuries-old archmage. Laeral's tenure was not a peaceful one, but it was defined by her unwavering resolve, by the leadership style that was a stark contrast to her predecessors. Where Daggalt Neverwinter was concerned with personal power and wealth, Laeral focused on the stability and prosperity of the city's populace. She was known for being a master of diplomacy and a charismatic, almost telepathic judge of character, skills she honed through centuries of dealing with kings, gods, and monsters. Her days as Open Lord were filled with the delicate dance of politics. She had to navigate the intricate web of the masked lords, the powerful noble families, and the influential guilds. However, her focus wasn't just on the elites. She saw herself as a guardian of the little folk, and was known to use her power to protect the common citizens from those who would oppress them. This earned her the admiration of the populace, a stark contrast to the mixed feelings many had for her predecessor. Laeral's leadership was indeed tested almost immediately by the ever-present threats lurking in Waterdeep's shadows. The city was a hotbed of intrigue and criminal enterprises, most notably the Xanathar Guild and a powerful splinter faction of the Zentharum led by Faerûn. These rival criminal organizations were constantly vying for control of the city's underworld, and their conflicts often spilled out into the streets, threatening to tear Waterdeep apart from within. In response, Laeral relied on the network of trusted allies and agents. She worked closely with the Lord's Alliance, using her influence to coordinate with other cities to address regional threats. She also had her own personal agents, like the loyal Lord's Alliance operative Laeral Silverhand, who acted as her eyes and ears in the city. Her most complex and fascinating relationship, however, was with Vajra Shafir, the current Blackstaff, as the wielder of the staff containing the soul of her late husband, Kelvin. Laeral interactions with Vajra were fraught with a mix of respect and lingering echoes of a love that spanned centuries. Laeral's greatest triumph during this period was not a single battle, but her ability to maintain order and prevent open war between these powerful factions. She used her intelligence network, her diplomacy, and, when necessary, her magical might to keep the peace. The very presence of the Open Lord, a legendary figure with the power to unravel entire magical schemes, was a deterrent in itself. She was a check on the ambitions of the corrupt, a shield for the innocent, and the true heart of Waterdeep's enduring spirit. Laeral Silverhand's story is one of incredible longevity and constant evolution. She has worn many hats: a wild adventurer, a chosen of a goddess, a loving wife, a strategic sister, and an unwavering leader. But her greatest legacy is not just in the battles she's won or the spells she's cast, but in the enduring influence she has had on the world around her. As Open Lord, she has not only stabilized Waterdeep, but has also fundamentally reshaped it for the better. She's a leader who understands that true power comes not from force, but from wisdom, integrity, and the trust of the people. Her very presence as the city's ruler has turned Waterdeep into a beacon of hope and stability in an often unpredictable world. She is a testament to the idea that heroes can and do grow into great leaders. Beyond politics, her influence on magic is permanent. As one of the few surviving chosen of Mystra from the pre-Sundering era, she holds a unique and powerful understanding of the weave that few, if any, can match. She is a bridge between the old magic and the new, a living library of magical knowledge. Her contributions to the magical arts and her mentorship to powerful mages, including the current Blackstaff, have ensured that her wisdom will continue to guide the next generation of spellcasters. Ultimately, Laeral Silverhand's legacy is her unbreakable will. Her journey from a child with a divine gift to the undisputed ruler of the greatest city of the North is a saga of resilience and destiny. She has seen her world end and be reborn. And through it all, she has not only survived but thrived, becoming one of the most powerful and respected figures in the history of the Forgotten Realms. Her name is more than a title. It is a promise of strength, wisdom, and eternal vigilance. She is the heart of Waterdeep, a legend for all time, and the true embodiment of a hero's journey. And that brings us to the end of our deep dive into the lore of Laeral Silverhand. What part of her story do you find the most compelling? Do you have any favorite moments from her life? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this journey through the history of the Forgotten Realms, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more videos on the heroes, villains, and legends of Dungeons & Dragons. This is James from the Dungeon Puffin. Later, guys.